Coming up on today's episode of the Health Review.
You wanted to try for a second child and you were told just a 0.7% chance with IVF. How did you feel?
With my own eggs.
With your own eggs?
Yes. My interpretation was, okay, let's go back. Let's see what we can do at home to improve my egg quality. I can't improve my egg count. That blueprint of your sperm and the blueprint of your egg is a blueprint of who that child's going to be. So what are you gifting them?
How long after you made these changes did you conceive?
We were very blessed. For me, it was 3.5 months.
Hello, welcome back to the Health Review. Thank you for joining me once again. Today we are diving into fertility and we're going to talk about that scary age that's often mentioned, 35. A lot of experts have historically said that is the age where fertility declines for women in particular. But today's guest is proof that there's far more to that story than we've been led to believe. Today on the Health Review, I'm joined by Liberty Mills, certified integrative health and nutrition coach and author of 360 Fertility, a 12-week plan for optimizing your chance of conception. Liberty's story is remarkable. I can't wait for you to hear it. At 43, she was told she had just a 0.7% chance of conceiving even with IVF. But instead of giving up, she turned to integrative medicine, transformed her lifestyle, and went on to conceive her daughter naturally, giving birth just before her 45th birthday. Liberty, thank you for coming on the Health Review.
Thank you for having me.
It's so delightful to have you here in the studio. I have listened to lots of your book, 360 Fertility. It's a really helpful tool for people who are conceiving, thinking about it, perhaps been on that journey for a while. As I mentioned just then, you've been on your own journey and I can't imagine the feeling that you must have felt when you wanted to conceive. You already had a child and you explained that in your book that you had a daughter, who was already, she
was like 19.
But you wanted to try for a second child and you were told just a 0.7% chance with IVF. How did you feel?
With my own eggs.
With your own eggs.
Yeah.
How did you feel in that moment?
I'm quite a pragmatic person. So personally, I was like, oh, okay, we'll just have egg donor. Didn't bother me at all because I understand epigenetics and I was completely fine with that process. For me personally, I know it's not the same for everybody else. I just wanted to extend my family. My partner, who didn't have any children, wasn't into that. So we were left with a bit of an obstacle. So my interpretation was, okay, let's go back. Let's see what we can do at home to improve my egg quality. I can't improve my egg count, to improve my host body, and then we'll go back and hopefully they'll take our money.
Yeah.
that was my thought process. I was like, then they'll take our money and then they'll sort us out. But IVF, I've been practicing now with clients for over 6 years. Well, 6 years now, and IVF doesn't solve all the problems, and I really wish it did. But they're only as good as the quality of what you give them. So we've got to improve our egg quality. We've got to lower our inflammation. We've got to be able to have a great mindset to go along with it because it is tricky. And also we've got to improve the sperm quality.
And I think what people have been misled about along the way, especially women, is that, well, when you're older, your egg quality declines just because of your age, because of your biological age. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. And I think now the conversation has been opening up in recent years about the fact that actually there are things you can do to improve the quality of your eggs.
The quality, yes. I was just talking before I came here to an obstetrician and gynecologist, a wise owl. He was an older gentleman who was absolutely wonderful. And he said, I wish more women invested when they were younger because quite a lot of women are going ahead and just freezing their eggs and thinking, no, that's going to solve everything. But he said, what was if they're not the best quality? And what are they doing to their bodies while they're waiting then for years later to use those eggs?
What did that lifestyle overhaul look like for you? So I'm guessing if you said, right, no to the egg donor route right now, let's give it a go. What sort of
Obviously
things?
no alcohol. I wasn't a major party animal, but I would have the odd drink on a weekend, but it was no alcohol. The reason I say no alcohol, I'm very a stickler with this. I know the NHS says you can have, was it 1 to 2 drinks a week? I say no, it's nothing. And it's not just because alcohol is a poison. It's because of how it affects the body. It affects your sleep quality. We might have a drink to take the edge off because we've had a stressful week and that's how we're going to get to sleep. But it's about the quality of sleep that you have. And that's the time when our body repairs.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult though, isn't it?
It really
in
is.
the society that we're in.
It really is. You have a drink to celebrate a job promotion because you got engaged, because you had a baby. The man goes out and wets the baby's head. Alcohol is so ingrained, but it's not benefiting our fertility.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I don't drink. So actually this kind of thing for me is okay because I'm used to it. But I know so many people who, even recently I've had conversations with, and they're like, yeah, I'm trying. And they're like drinking and vaping. And it's just, habits die hard, don't they?
But it's also, why are you drinking? I've had this conversation with many male clients of mine. I coach clients around the world. So I've got businessmen in Dubai or city slickers in New York. And they're like, but it's part of my job. I take clients out to lunch. First of all, I say, they don't know what's in your drink. Mm-hmm. You can have a fake gin and tonic. They don't know, But also, why do you feel that you need to have a drink to be able to do your job? If you're good enough at your job, you don't need it. And if your friends really love you, they don't care if you're drunk or not drunk.
It's a good test, isn't it?
It really is a good test.
To see who sticks around
really
and supports.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I've had gentlemen that have said, wow, I actually feel like me. I don't feel like I'm putting on a mask. Once we've got through that, then they've stuck with it even after they've had the baby.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It really is
Was
huge.
it easy for you to quit drinking in that period?
For me, it was. For my partner, not so, because he worked in Soho, in media, as part of the culture. For him, it was really tricky, but it was the healthiest he's ever been.
So your partner was, you kind of got the two of you on board. You're like, 100%. If I'm doing this, you're doing this.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's important, isn't it?
Because also the quality and that blueprint of your sperm and the blueprint of your egg is a blueprint of who that child's going to be. So what are you gifting them? We've also got to think of that. What are we gifting them? What are they going to become when they're an adult because of what we were doing? If we have a choice. And we do have a choice, unless we know we have an illness and an addiction towards something. In general, we have a choice.
It's true. And sometimes, I guess, these hard choices have to be made. Well, they're not really hard choices. It's hard to actually show up and do these things.
Yeah. But it's hard to go to the gym and lose that weight or get stronger. It's hard. But afterwards, there's many times I go in the gym and I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I'll go in, and when I come out, I'm like, I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
And how long after you made these changes did you conceive?
We were very blessed. And people out there, I don't want to insult them in any kind of way because they might have been 3, 4, 5 years along in a journey. For me, it was 3.5 months.
Wow. Were you surprised when you...
Yeah, we didn't celebrate.
No.
We didn't celebrate. And that's really sad. That's so sad because we expected to miscarry.
Aww.
Because of what society says.
And the statistics are powerful. They really can get in your head, can't they?
So we sat on the floor and we were like, oh, okay, yeah. Should we go make some dinner? I'm just, we'll just see.
Yeah. Did you celebrate later though, I'm guessing?
We didn't celebrate until I think it was maybe like the 12-week scan.
Yeah.
And then all of that, because we kept it all in, we just burst out crying outside the scan room. We were holding it and we were crying like unconsolably, like we'd had a loss almost, because I think we were grieving, though we hadn't been able to celebrate for all of those weeks. We probably were grieving as well as celebrating. We were grieving, and this nurse came up. She was like, "Are you okay? And we just blurted out our whole story, and she started hugging us, and then we cried even more.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. And I guess you are pragmatic and you were probably very cautious, and it's true, you don't want to disappoint yourself. And I think a lot of people going through the trying to conceive journey, they end up, you hear people saying that they don't want to get excited over anything, over any positive test. They don't want to get their hopes up, because it can be disheartening if month after month it's just not happening.
Yeah.
Mine's...
Or you've had miscarriages. I've had 2 miscarriages in my life. And so once if you celebrate and then 6 weeks you have to go through that, or you tell your mum or your best friend and then you have to explain to them. It's very complex. And that's what I want. For me, when I was on my fertility journey, there weren't many books that explored that and gave me tools to cope with it. So that's what I've also put in my book.
And we can obviously go more into the 12-week program and what that looks like. But in terms of mindset, that's something I'm really interested in. So for people who, as I just said, have been on the journey for a while or starting the journey, but maybe they have a lot of women now, endometriosis, PCOS. So they're going into it a little bit like pessimistic, thinking, this might not happen for me. What would you tell them about how important mindset is?
Hugely. And creating a spiritual connection. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but to me that was a big thing. A really big thing. And there is a phenomenal doctor in New York called Dr. Julie Vaughn. She wrote a book called Spiritual Fertility Book. It's phenomenal. Anyone out there, if you don't get my book, get her book. It's really, or get them both.
Yes.
It's so important about creating that spiritual connection to your own body, because when you're going through that journey, quite often you're angry, right? You're angry because it's not happening. You're angry, why have I got PCOS and she's going out partying every other weekend and she's got pregnant? Why have I got endometriosis? Why have I got a low AMH? And when we carry anger around in our body, you go into fight, flight, or freeze. And that's not a good flow state for conception.
You're so right. And I guess tools that you can use, maybe, do you think meditation is a good idea?
I think meditation. I like Reiki. I think that is very good. I think joining communities, not to moan and groan. We all need a little bit of moan and groan in life. But, okay, what worked for you? What can I try? Taking those times out and also celebrating your body. Quite often, women who are on a fertility journey, when they come to their bleed in their menstruation, they'll message me at the beginning of their coaching. I'm really sad that I started my period. It's not happened. I'm like, this is great. This is great. You're actually having a period. We've got something to work with. When you don't have a period and you're not pregnant, then we've got a problem.
And I think when you're on a fertility journey, what you realize is the intricacies involved, how really it is a miracle that people get pregnant, because your hormones have got to be in a good place. You've got to have low inflammation for implantation to happen, good sperm quality, good egg quality, any stress, like these things can
great
affect
thyroid,
it.
great vitamin D, all of those things have got to work in harmony. It's a lot. So try and get your tribe.
Like I'm really into now, like nervous system regulation. So I've been reading about this a lot. Visualization, podcast episode that's recently come out with Dr. David Hamilton, who we were talking a lot about visualization. And one of the things I read was for some women who went through IVF, there was a study, and the ones who did it visualization every day had a higher chance of implantation.
I get my clients to get, if they're in a heterosexual couple, picture of themselves, they use a baby generator. And then I said, that's going to be your screensaver of your baby, what it's going to look like.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I love that.
So the women that didn't.
Yeah, no. So the women who did the visualization during IVF had a higher chance of implantation than the women who didn't.
See.
So I guess there's a lot to that. It's how our mind dictates so much in our body. And there's all this visualization techniques being used now for people who have chronic illnesses. And actually it can be quite a helpful tool alongside other approaches to help heal the body in different ways. But I guess for people who as we just said, there were a list of things, the implantation, your vitamin D, your thyroid. There are so many things. And it's almost an investigation, isn't it, I guess? Because as you said, it could be the vaginal microbiome. There could be things that are going on.
Not just that one sole factor, but all contributing. I liken it in the book to baking a cake. You know, if one of those ingredients is slightly off, it's not going to taste so lovely. It's not your sponge cake isn't going to rise. All has to be done with precision. So I always say test, don't guess.
Love that. That's what you need. You need evidence. So you can just back up. You might have a theory. You might have a theory that I think I've got bad inflammation because, I don't know, I've got gut issues, or I don't think my thyroid's working well. I put on weight or whatever. So if you get that data, you can actually verify it and then take steps to do it.
And also, the more we take ownership and start exploring in our own lives, a lot of clinics now are quite open. Some are not, I get it, but a lot are. And you say, oh, I'd like to explore this. Rather than doing it 3 cycles of IVF along the way, and they go, oh, actually, you've got killer antibodies, or you actually do have a raised thyroid antibodies, and we hadn't realized. Do all that before you go in. Save yourself the stress.
Some of the tests you would recommend? Obviously, there's a long list, so maybe off the top of your head, but
some of the basic ones that you can do at home. Vitamin D. I was just talking to this obstetrician. Vitamin D. You are more likely to have failure of implantation. If you have recurrent miscarriage, one of the first tests the NHS will test for you is vitamin D. So if you're not getting pregnant, why not test the vitamin D before then? It just seems a bit backward for me.
Mm-hmm.
So vitamin D, make sure your levels are optimum, not within range.
Mm-hmm.
I would test your thyroid antibodies. I would get a genetics test. I haven't written that in the book, but the book was going to be about this big and no one's going to buy it then. Because you don't know, sometimes you're not displaying symptoms of whatever you may be carrying, but it might be there and that might be the blockage. So if you have the finances, a vitamin D test you can get for, I don't know, 10 to 14 pounds and upwards. So you can do that at home. A genetics test is, a bit more of an investment, probably 200 to 300 pounds maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Vaginal microbiome, uterine microbiome, seminal fluid microbiome. Absolutely fascinating, the work there. There's a lady I've been working with called Jo Hurley. I just did a test. I'm going to be first. You're going to be first to know. I have BV. I didn't even know. I did this test. I have no symptoms. I purely did the test because I encourage my clients to do, and I want to say I did the test.
Mm-hmm.
She said I could have been carrying it around for 25 years.
Mm.
But that's causing inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that and you don't know, you're more likely to have failure of implantation, early miscarriage, low birth rate of your baby, more intervention. I didn't know I had it. So, and apparently 70% of women have it and they don't even know.
That's crazy.
So for a test of like £200, I'd rather know that before I went into IVF.
Yeah.
Than go through my whole cycle, and that'd be a huge contributing factor.
So would you say it's almost like project managing, like you would at work? Because the thing is, I mean, a lot of us are so dedicated to our work, whether it be managing a team, whether that be spreadsheets or, just keeping lists and keeping on top of things. So then why wouldn't you do it for your health or fertility? It seems obvious, but I think for so many people that's just not how they treat their health.
And also that gives you a bit of power back. So many of my ladies say, I don't feel I have control over my hormones anymore. The doctor does. But this gives you a bit more that you're on the team, which I think is really important.
And I guess if you do some of these tests yourself, they can be expensive. So I guess it's sort of working out your budget.
Yeah, what you can afford.
To prioritize. I guess if after 6 to 12 months, things are not working out for you, you could go to a fertility specialist, someone like yourself, or an IVF clinic and say, look, I've done my research.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Or what you can do, anyone out there, DM me on Instagram. I'm at mills.liberty. I'll send you my email and I will email you a free food diary. So it's your food, but it's also your sleep, your energy, and your mood, your libido, and your poo score. And you do that, and you can be your own coach to a certain degree. So you'll be like, oh yeah, actually, when I did have that one glass of wine, the next day I woke up, I was really tired, and I went for a croissant and I don't know, a coffee instead of a chia pudding, or some eggs and some spinach and some kimchi. And you can work out yourself what's working for you and what's not working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I was really stressed that month, my period was shorter.
Mm.
You know, you start doing it. It takes like a couple of minutes a day.
Mm. I love that message, taking control of your health and being your own sort of project manager, I guess,
Yeah.
for these things. Your book is a 12-week holistic program. Why is 12 weeks the sort of magic number when it comes to fertility?
Well, sperm, I love talking about sperm. Sperm renews every like 2.5 months. So you need that, you know, it's going to take you a while to get some vitamins, some tests, but also the last 90 to 120 days is when your egg really starts to make itself pretty, you know, get all the good stuff in. So you need that to really accelerate that quality.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot can be changed in that time.
I think that's again something that's only really been spoken about widely more recently. Like, I think most people just thought your egg quality was your egg quality, your sperm quality. That's you know,
that's it.
Like men used to, you know, you'd hear in TV shows like, oh, he was infertile.
Yeah.
At that point, he was told his sperm wasn't great. It doesn't mean forever.
Yeah. With
Like,
some people, it might be if you've had, I don't know, maybe cancer, or you've been on certain medication. For some people, it is. You know, in the last 6 years, I've had 3 clients where I've not been able to improve their sperm. But it's been due to medical issues, you know, that had happened many, many years ago. And now even IVF, you know, they can go in, they can take it straight out, all sorts. You don't even need to perform the ejaculation. They can go in. There's certain clinics that are powered by AI that they can source even exactly how they swim or how it's formed and get the best of the best.
it's crazy. It makes you wonder where everything's going to go in the next,
Yeah.
whether actually people will end up wanting to do that regardless of whether they've got fertility issues, because maybe they'll be like, oh, I just want the best embryo. I want the highest quality sperm.
Some people may do that. I don't know. Ethics come in there, but I don't know.
It's crazy. I mean, amazing what AI is doing in this space. It is exciting.
Yeah.
Little plug, I've got a newsletter, The Health Review. Comes out every Friday, people listening. And often the fertility stories are making it in there in the newsletter, because I like to cover some of the health news stories because they're just so fascinating.
They are.
There were one the other day about skin cells being used to create an egg. An actual egg. So that means that male gay partners can potentially use their skin cells to create. I mean, it's baffling. Obviously, it's very early. That might be.
And also ethics. And there was someone in Korea that did it. AI, something, they created an embryo but then they actually got put in prison for doing it because ethically it wasn't considered lovely.
Wow.
But a great process in science, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's all a learning curve.
Yeah.
It means that IVF and fertility treatments are improving. Which must only be a good thing, because we are hearing that infertility is rising. It's hard to put our finger on exactly what's driving that. Age is a big factor. We can't ignore the fact that I
think age, but also you think it's not just age, right? It's as the number of years you're being on the planet, you're consuming more chemicals, you're consuming more stress. You're therefore consuming more alcohol, more junk food. You will have consumed more medications. You know, many people are on antidepressants. A lot of antidepressants can affect your sperm quality. All of these things, but they need that for their mental health. Because we're living in this modern world.
And especially if you're trying to conceive and it's not happening.
It's stressful. Yeah.
It can add to, if you're already struggling with your mental health, it can add.
It can
add to that. Sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying today's episode, please do subscribe or give it a follow so we can keep giving you excellent content and bringing on amazing guests that hopefully you're loving on the Health Review podcast. Now back to the show. What would you say is the most powerful yet overlooked aspect of preparing your body. So we've mentioned quite a few of them. Are there any others that you think people just don't think about when it comes to getting ready to get pregnant?
I know it's so boring. Like, quite often people come to me in the first 3 weeks, like, yeah, but what supplements should I be taking? And, you know, can I get an IV, or what should I have? And I just say, are you pooing every day? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, we don't need to sort that out until we sort that out. Basics: your wee, your poo, your sleep. You need the foundations before you start building your castle. If they're out, you're kind of wasting your money. You know, stick with the basics. If you're not pooing, you're not detoxifying. So where is it all going? It's just creating inflammation within your body. That is not a hospitable environment for a baby to thrive. You know, I know it sounds really, really boring and not jazzy, and it's not biohacking, and it's not glossy, but it's the truth. You got to start. This is a machine. You got to start looking after the machine and clean the machine out. Last November, I never forget it, I had 5 women tell me they were all pregnant within the space of a week, all between 41 and 43. Some were IVF, some were natural. All before I'd had severe constipation. They were pooing every other day, every 3 days. Soon as we sorted at them going a good flow, they started sleeping better, less migraines. Their periods were better, and then they all got pregnant.
I've read quite a bit about estrogen detox, and I've had guests on the podcast before who have explained that if you're not detoxing and using the bathroom as you should be, you can get almost like toxic levels of estrogen in your gut, which can create systemic inflammation in that area, which again, you just would never think that could be happening.
No. So often, like, look at your body. Where are you holding the weight as well? Is it hormonal? Look at things like that.
There's also testing now. I don't know your thoughts on this, but with your sort of methylation, so a lot of people testing for the MTHFR gene mutation. There's also this COMT mutation, which is how you detox your estrogen and dopamine and stuff. So some people are going down that route to really get into
I think that's important, because I don't know when they're introducing it. I think it's next year maybe. But apparently now they're putting in the chemical formulation of folic acid. They're going to fortify all organic flour.
Which is not good for everyone, is it?
Yeah, like you say. I mean, that would be great for lots of people. But what happens if you don't know you're one of those people it's not great for?
Exactly. And I was reading that it's up to 50% of Europeans who have the gene mutation.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, and I guess you've had a reaction to folic acid, which can happen. It's happened to me, actually. Had lots of bloating and things happened when I started taking it and didn't know what was going on. And then did some research and found that actually I have the MTHFR gene mutation, which makes sense. So then it just means you need a methylated version of folic acid.
Yeah. So then you need to also check your food, because a lot of cereals are fortified with it. Orange juice, some orange juices, now the flour. So if you don't know what's in your kitchen cupboard and you are one of those people, you could end up in a little bit of a mess.
But that's why I guess sort of knowledge is power here.
Test, don't guess again.
Yeah, love it. For someone who has been on this journey, hopefully they're going to listen to your book. How could this program help them reset their fertility journey?
Well, within the book, lots of my clients give how it's helped them. So, for example, I've had people testing and not realizing that their vitamin D was in the teens. That's just crazy if you're on a fertility journey. It'll make them feel like they're not alone. It'll give them a direction, because if you go on Instagram, you go to your GP, they'll just give you a leaflet. This gives you a plan of what you do every single week. And then you're like, okay, what am I doing this week? You don't read the whole book in one go. You can do if you want, but it's a week by week. So you're not overwhelmed. You're not overloaded. You're like, okay, this is what I'm working on this week. And actually those things worked for me, so I want to carry them on to next week. And it's like literally having me in your pocket or in your earphones.
That's really nice. And maybe it also teaches you to be more present. So rather than thinking 6 steps ahead, you know, I must be pregnant in 6 months. And I think for a lot of women in particular, they
The
put
number.
dates on things. So it's like, or by Christmas, or by my
Yeah.
birthday, or
I
whatever
have
it is.
many women who are like, yeah, but I'm 40 and coming to me saying, yeah, but I'm 40 in 2 months. Can we do the program in 2 months and not 3? No, it's really common. And these are very intelligent women. And I'm like, no, it doesn't sort of work like that. And also, by the time you're 40, it doesn't just drop off a cliff when you blow out your candles at that second.
No.
But that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really happy that this whole age debate discussion is happening, because for so long, 35 really was the number where fertility falls off a cliff. And I think so many women have panicked. And there are still stats that IVF clinics will say.
Of course. I'm not gonna, I'm agreeing with the trolls out there. Okay. Yes, of course. It for many people will be, you'll have more chance of conceiving when you're younger. But it's not just because of your age. It's because of that age-related dis-ease that you have in your body. So target that dis-ease and your body can renew to a degree. I'm not saying, we're all going to be like Brian Johnson in our 40s and you're going to have eggs of an 18-year-old. But I'm just saying you can help the process.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think it's a really important message to share. You've got a whole chapter on IVF in the book. What would you like readers of your book to know about the different types of IVF that are available? Because it is a minefield. I think some people go into it and they're like...
Or some people have gone through it 3 times and I'll ask them, what protocol did you have? What kind of protocol? I don't know. I'm like, how do you not know? And why did you not ask, why are you doing the same protocol? Or what would you change because that didn't work? First things first, it's not the booby prize. Don't think you're a bad person or you've done something wrong or it's a failure. If I have an infection, a chest infection, and it's got really bad, I will get antibiotics. That doesn't mean that I'm not a good health coach and I've gone to get help. It's just modern medicine helping you along the way. So that's my first thing. Give yourself a break. It's not the booby prize. You can still make it romantic. I've given activities for you to do in the book to still make it romantic and sexy, and you can still make it fun and nice. Second is, no, I've got 17 questions in there. Know your questions to ask your clinic. If you're doing the appointment on Zoom, get someone to write the answers down or put your phone by the side and ask them their permission. Can I record it? Because I might have forgotten what you're saying to me. Because in that moment, we can be a bit, yeah. And you don't really know what's going in, what they've just said. Mm-hmm. You've just said, okay, they think you should start on your next period. And everything else you've lost. So yeah, I'd record, I'd shop around abroad, work out your budget and work out how many rounds you can get within your budget. And it might mean it might be cheaper to go to Greece or Prague because it's cheaper, even with the traveling. So I'd shop around. I would I'd invest, do your research. Just because your friend got pregnant there, they don't have the same body as you. Just because you got pregnant there maybe 4 years ago, you're not in the same body anymore. And ask them always for their live birth rate, not a pregnancy, or their heartbeat rate, success rate. You are not going there to get pregnant. You are going there to meet your child. And that's a big difference.
So would some clinics be able to find ways to get you pregnant, but not necessarily help you stay pregnant?
Yeah, so many clinics publicize their pregnancy rate, but are they publicizing their miscarry rate? They might not even know, right? They don't know if the person then miscarried at 9 weeks, 10 weeks. They're not telling you that. So it could be quite misleading. Which I think then is unfortunate, because then when you may miscarry at 6-7 weeks, you're like, but the other percentage in my bracket, it all worked out for you. You don't know that, do you? Because it just says pregnancy rate, or it might say heartbeat rate. It doesn't say live birth rate. You want the live birth rate. You want to know.
That's really interesting. And for people who might be half considering IVF, there are different levels of treatments. Some people start with IUI.
Yeah. Even in some countries now within Europe, you have to do IUI for 2 years before you're allowed IVF.
Wow.
I know.
A lot of women feel pressured to start IVF maybe quite quickly. So they might have a goal in their mind of, okay, 12 months, nothing's happened, or 9 months, nothing's happened. It's all right, we've got IVF. That's always like at the back of the head. Like, it's fine, we'll just do IVF. What questions do you think they should ask themselves before actually taking that route of IVF?
Well, one thing we've not spoken about is the chap. And we need to speak about the chap. Even if it's predominantly female, listeners, they may have a chap, they may have a brother, whatever. 48% of unexplained infertility, which I think should be renamed to unexplored fertility, is a male contributing factor. Within that is 20 to 30% is a male sole factor. So the World Health Organization has a Kruger scale, right? So for example, morphology is 4% to 14%. That 4% to 14% is marked on the lowest of the low. So if you're not even meeting that and you think ICSI's going to solve it all, it might not be doing. So I would push for your male partner, if you have one, to see a urologist. Make sure they get checked out physically also. Check there's no varicoceles.
Yes, you mentioned this in the book.
Yeah.
So what is that?
It's like a varicose vein, so it's blocking the good stuff coming out. So sometimes you can feel them. Sometimes you might not be able to feel them. You can see them in an MRI. So I just had a client, he just got diagnosed, he had 3. They could only see 1 when he was stood up. 1 when he was lying down and 3 when he was stood up. So that could be obstructing. A urologist will guide you on the best protocol for that. It could be some medication or it could be a little operation. And then you wait until all the inflammation from the operation, for example, is cleared down, and then you can go again. Or it might not be wide enough to be a cause of concern because they are very common. So things like that you want to look at for the gentleman. Of course, all the normal vitamins and minerals, DNA fragmentation, natural killer cells, seminal microbiome within their fluid, because if you might have bacteria, if you're having intercourse, they're probably going to have the bacteria too. 2 lots of bacteria are not going to make a lovely baby, right? So I would get a lot of tests like that done. Also a genetics test, because what happens if you're having miscarriages because one of you or both of you have this gene that you don't even know about?
Genetic testing is powerful, and they do it in most IVF clinics, I'm guessing.
To a degree. But also, what about if you don't want to go down the IVF? Some people I've had clients who are like, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. It might not be your religious, ethical. You might not want to put all those chemicals and hormones into your body. Some people don't want to do that. So it's also good to find out what else might be going along that's tripping you up along the way.
What would you say to your clients about the people who are stuck in the 2-week wait roller coaster? I guess the process is kind of, you have your period. In some sense, that's almost like a hormonal release for a lot of people when they've had their luteal phase. So you got that period, then you're kind of in your follicular where you're waiting to ovulate, and you're kind of, feeling high energy and stuff. And then after you've ovulated, you've got a long 2 weeks to wait, and it can be a roller coaster. What would you say to people who are
and 2-week wait for IVF as well? They have the 2-week wait too. Book up lots of things. I know it's really basic, but keep distracted. Go out with your girlfriends, do gentle walks, write a letter to yourself. If it's a monthly thing, if it's natural conception, I would do a lot of journaling, because by the end of the journaling, you're going to be a bit kinder to yourself. I would get some Reiki. I would talk about it if you feel comfortable. A lot of people just hold this in. I've had clients that are related that don't even tell each other that they're seeing me.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, you could be helping each other.
Yeah.
And they're not, because there's still so much shame.
There shouldn't be.
It.
Social media has been a good tool for, I know many people who work in the health space who actually have been through IVF, and they're documenting it, and it's really helpful for people.
That's brilliant.
But I guess there are still the majority who don't talk about it.
No.
They don't even tell people they're pregnant because they're worried about disappointing, as we've said.
Yeah, or you're worried about what your work going to say. You can't tell them you're going off for an IVF appointment because then you'll be pregnant, and then they might not give you that promotion that you really do deserve. Men generally don't talk about it because there's that shame. Oh, is it you? If we think we've got the stigma, wow, men are on a whole different level. My heart goes out to men on a fertility journey because they've not been taught how to deal with these obstacles. We talk about fibroids, PCOS, a heavy period, missing a period, going on the pill, not going on the pill, what contraceptives use. What do they talk about? Nothing in this area of fertility.
And I guess they see like their sperm as like, how strong they are, how fit they are. And, I think most men would like to believe that they could have children, up until they're old, because biologically they potentially can do that.
I've had so many, a number of people come to me and they're on a second relationship. And I'd be like, well, where's your husband? Oh, it's not him. He's already got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. I'm like, that was many years ago. And then I see his sperm and it's not so great now.
I guess the same things that affect female fertility also affect men, like the drinking, inflammation, all the things that you've already spoken about. So I guess the 12-week protocol.
Oh, cold plunging is not great for men.
Saunas,
cold plunging. I wouldn't do any extremes. No extreme heat. Just keep it in its natural environment.
Yeah. What are some of the first changes your clients should make? I'm guessing the alcohol is a big one.
Alcohol, clean up your environment. So what you're putting in your body, what you read up, because you're not going to believe me. You're just going to think something maybe she said, but then go and explore it and find out the science for yourself. There's a great a great book for the men. It's either called Zero or Countdown. It's called Countdown by Professor Shauna Swan, who predicts purely due to microplastics and purely due to chemicals used on our food that by 2045, so only 20 years away, that all couples in industrialized countries will need assisted fertility. And that's not anything to do with us ladies. That's purely on the men.
Wow.
Because of the decline of sperm. So all the men that think, yeah, I'm sporty and I fast and I feel healthy or I've had children before, read this book. It would really highlight a few things for you and you'll think, oh, maybe I need to look at things a bit differently. They found microplastics in the seminal fluid. They found it in the fluid around the ovaries in, was it May or June of this year in, I think it was Rome University. But it's about reducing that exposure where we can.
And what you said earlier about detoxing, that's really important. I think most of us don't realize how important that is and how the liver is linked to the gut. You go to the bathroom and it's all got to happen regularly. And you've got to be eating enough fiber for that to happen. The sauna, I guess, can be helpful for women at certain phases. So I was hearing that it's good in your follicular phase. It helps you detox. So if you do need a bit of extra help with your detoxification.
So that's why you need to know where you are on your cycle. It's good to journal and be like, oh yeah, I'm on this phase now. It's great to do your seed cycling. It's great to get in the extra fiber. Most, the NHS are even putting out posters everywhere that we're not having enough fiber in our diet. Which is shocking because we're eating so many processed foods. We're not eating food as it was grown. I know it's not accessible for everybody because food is rather expensive.
What are some of the woo-woo things that you probably wouldn't want to say you should definitely do, but what are some things that maybe your clients have tried?
Acupuncture, hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. I was just literally talking about it to this obstetrician. Great for women. Just having oxygen pushed all around your body. It's just, I call it acupuncture on steroids. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Maybe that's a bit woo-woo for some people. I don't know. Reflexology might be a bit woo-woo. Womb massage. Massaging your womb. Especially if you've had a number of miscarriages. You know, if you've been to the gym and pulled a muscle, you'd go for a sports massage. We have a miscarriage. Might take 2 or 3 days off work. Then we go back to work. And no one cares after that. Body has to work really hard to get rid of that out of your body. To get rid of that loss. Get a womb massage.
For someone listening who feels like time is running out for them, what would you say to them?
Get everything checked and get your partner checked. Also, egg freezing is great, but it's not the answer to everything. And what's the point in freezing not the best eggs? So many of them are like, yeah, I froze my eggs and then I'm going to get myself all healthy before I get them out and get them fertilized. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You get yourself really healthy, then you freeze your eggs, and then you do it. But not all of them are going to defrost perfectly. So, and also, I was chatting to this doctor about it. So he said, you know, a lot of women, they're like, oh, I'm waiting for the right guy, and I'll get called out for this, but so what? If you like your life and you think you're going to be a great parent, many people become single parents. I became a single parent because I didn't think the dad was a good enough dad. And he definitely wasn't a good enough partner. And he wasn't a good enough dad. I raised an amazing woman. You know, she now has her own children. And I really respect her as a human being. She's a great person. And for the most part, I did that on my own. And I've had clients. I've had one client. She's one of my oldest clients I've had. In 6 years, she's gone and done it twice. Had 2 children on her own, and she runs 4 businesses.
Wow.
And she has no help, no nanny, no nothing. You know, so some women don't keep waiting, because, like I said to this doctor, when you are a single parent and that guy comes along, there are certain things you will not accept from a man when you're a mum. But you'll accept it from him when you're on your own. But you're like, I'm not having that around my child. Or that is not what I want around my child.
Wow. So your standards go up.
Yeah, go up. Whew.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So you don't, I know it's controversial, but love is love. And it's about being a great parent. And for me personally, it's not about biology. It doesn't matter if you've adopted, if it's your grandchild, or if it's through egg donation, sperm donation. It's about the quality of your love and how you raise your child. So if you're 40 and you have got good enough eggs, just go and do it. Because when you're 90, you'll regret that you didn't, and you waited for this guy that didn't exist, and you had so much to give.
Yeah.
Or do it at 35.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really nice message, because people are often waiting for the right person, the right circumstances, everything.
It's never going to be the right time. I had a child 3 days after my 23rd birthday, and I had a child 2 weeks before my 45th birthday. No time was the right time. They both had the pluses and the minuses.
Mm. And I'm sure very different experiences.
Yeah.
Like as where you probably were in life. And I think we all develop and change and grow a lot in that time between our 20s and, 40s and beyond. So I can't imagine how different those two experiences were. And I'm sure meeting your youngest after being told that you couldn't potentially have her. Is she a daughter as well?
Yeah,
yes,
two girls.
2 girls, lovely. I'm sure that was a really incredible moment in your life that you'll never forget that feeling.
When I gave birth to her, I screamed, "Women rule."
That's amazing.
Because, no disrespect to you gentlemen, like you are great too, but it's amazing Like you say, it's crazy that can even happen, the implantation and how the hips have to move and how we grow and the baby gets stuck in your ribs and the fatigue and all of those things, that you can do that for 9 months. And then when you're at your most tired, then you have to go through this labor that can be any number of hours and bring in all sorts of complications, everything. Some people it's bright and breezy, other people it's not. To be able to do that is phenomenal. And I think a lot of women forget how amazing they are, and especially if you've been on a fertility journey, to get to that point, you rule.
I love that message. And I think it's a good reminder for us all to just appreciate our bodies and what they're doing. And especially women, and as you say, growing a baby, giving birth, it's such a huge thing. So I think that is the perfect message for us to finish on. Liberty Mills, I've absolutely loved our conversation. I like all the directions that we went on in terms of fertility. I feel like we could be here all afternoon.
Yeah, we could be all week.
Continue. But for people who want to follow you, check out your book, where can they find you?
Follow me on mills.liberty. I will always answer a DM if it's clean. I will answer a DM, and it might take me a couple of days, but I just left someone a voice message on the way here, was asking me something, and I left a voice message. I always do. It's a community. We're here together. You can buy my book on Amazon. I think it's on offer at the moment as well. So good time to get it. Or you can get audio if you want to listen to my northern dulcet tones. And my website is Integrative Liberty.
Amazing. Liberty Mills, thank you so much for coming on the Health Review.
Thank you.